Hello and welcome to The Curators episode 113, the weekly podcast and YouTube series where I discuss cool game and game-related crowdfunded projects from the Gamerati curated Kickstarter page, which you can find at kickstarter.com/Gamerati. I'm Marcelo, and our show is transmitted as a podcast that you can find just looking for The Curators on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, on Spotify, or on Stitcher. Okay, the first project I have for you today is Legendlore, an RPG setting for Dungeons & Dragons. It's being crowdfunded by Onyx Publishing, and it's based on the Realm and Legendlore comic series from Caliber Comics from the 90s. Actually, Legendlore is from Caliber Comics. The Realm is from the 80s. Well, Legendlore, which is the comic book which I read, there we have tales of fantasy and adventure in the land of Azoth. I think the story I remember is like the warrior elf Serene Silverfawn learns a plot to destroy an elven city, and only she can stop it. That's the premise, at least as far as I remember, of the first series of comic books. Well, the impetus of this RPG is to flesh out the world in which Legendlore takes place, making it a fully fledged Dungeons & Dragons campaign setting. I think I should give a little bit more information about the origins of the setting. As I said, I only read the first volume of Legendlore comic book. It was quite hard to come across international comic books here in Brazil back in the 90s. I was living in a larger town that had a comic shop near my home that imported a bunch of stuff from England and from the US. So sometimes I had a truly unique opportunity to purchase and read the stuff that normally wasn't available in Brazil. Legendlore began as a comic book called The Realm, first published by Arrow Comics in 1986 and later produced by Caliber Comics about 4 people who fall through a crossing into the realm. The Realm with capital R. The Realm is home to fantasy creatures from elves, dragons, orcs, goblins, etc. And the characters discover they too have fantasy powers, quote unquote. The jock becomes a fighter, while the bookworm becomes a wizard, and so on and so forth. They go on adventures, and some of them eventually find their way back to Earth. That premise also exists in the RPG. In the Legendlore RPG, players can choose to play as themselves or to create a new character employing the 5th edition fantasy rules system. So it's very cool. You can change any characteristics you like. For example, if you have hay fever and you wear glasses, you choose if your Legendlore self keeps or drops those. Your identity might not always match your outward physique, but your Legendlore character does. Something else very positive about this project is that Onyx updated the 1980 setting of Realmbore. So those characters, they now represent all ethnicities, all genders, and all sexualities. No one in the realm will bat an eyelash at your gender, at your agender panoramic self. Props to Onyx for making things a little more inclusive. Now, as I said, you can create an Earthling that fell into a portal and ended up living in a fantasy world, or you can make a character that was born there in the first place. It's important to notice that if you make an Earthling, you will not be the first from Earth to encounter the nations of the realm. The realm has had visitors before, and each time these visitors left something there. Whether it be a new word or even some kind of technology, some visitors became stranded and formed their own communities out of an immediate need for survival. These communities can still be found in the realm, though they tend to be pockets of isolation and have their own customs and concerns, even if they are within the boundaries of other nations. Sharp-eyed visitors may recognize aspects of the world turned into phenomena. In the depths of a forest, they may encounter a glider plane abandoned with vines anchoring it to the soil, its metal rusting, its markings faded under a strange sun its paint was never meant to withstand. These phenomena are considered strange things with capital S and capital T. Anyhow, they are considered strange things throughout the realm. And just as Earth had occasional impacts on the realm can change a visitor from Earth. Legends, with capital L, are destinies visitors may have when crossing into the realm. It is part of their crossing, part of their destiny. So let's talk a little bit about this concept. Each character has their own legend, which affects the story, and it's built up through relatively minor actions as well as through more obviously weighted choices. Legends are things like Avatar of Peace, or Regent of Dragons, or Heir of the Mountain. They represent the destiny of your character and mechanically can resemble backgrounds. Perhaps the you want to be in the realm is trying not to spread any more violence than absolutely necessary for self-defense. As a player, you might want their destiny to reflect that commitment to peaceful solutions and avoid continuing cycles of revenge and violence, thus the Avatar of Peace legend. So, I find this world amazing. It's going to be at the same time familiar to you if you're used to playing Dungeons and Dragons, but at the same time, it's more than just another Forgotten Realms or another Carmichael's. Legendlore has a comic book feel that I think it fits perfectly with Dungeons and Dragons. I don't play D&D anymore for years now, but this project is making me want to get back to it just to enjoy the novelty and, at the same time, the familiarity of Legendlore. Let's take a look at the pledge level. Right, for $5 you get the Good Friend pledge level, which means that as thanks for your support, you will receive access to the Backers Only Manuscript Review Update posts. That's something that we have to remember when we are participating on a crowdfunding project from Onyx Path. They always release, throughout the time of the crowdfunding, they always release the manuscript for you to read and give an opinion about the film. For $25 you get the Digital Traveler Pledge, which means that you get a PDF copy of the Legendlore RPG. At $30 you get the First Time Traveler Pledge, which means that you get a PDF copy of the Legendlore PDF version, plus a at cost print-on-demand option on Director RPG and access to manuscript update. For $50 you get the PDF and the hardcover versions of Legendlore, plus at cost print-on-demand options for extra books and access to manuscript preview updates. For $95 you get 2 copies of the PDF, 2 copies of the hardcover version, plus 2 at cost print-on-demand options on Director RPG and access to the preview updates. For $100 you get Experienced Traveler. As thanks for your support, you receive both the PDF and the hardcover versions of the Legendlore, as well as a book plate signed by members of the creative team. For $180 you get... this is for retailers only. Okay. And for $230 you get the pledge level Librarian of Isli Adril. You get 5 copies of the PDF, 5 copies of the hardcover version, and 5 coupons for print. Then there's the $250, which right now there's only one backer left. No, sorry, there's one backer there, and they still have 3 left. So 4 total. There's one person already there. Let's see here. You will submit a name that will be used for a non-player character, which will be incorporated into the Legendlore setting via supplemental PDF if necessary. For $300, still 4 available. You get an art model for an interior illustrated, providing photo references to be used by artists creating artwork to be incorporated in the Legend. Wow. All right. So that's Legendlore, an RPG setting for Dungeons and Dragons, based on a fantasy role-playing, based on a fantasy comic book, which I read. I read one of those. I read the first volume of Legendlore from Caliber Comics, and I liked it a lot. I think it's a good idea to have this kind of new setting instead of the old ones we've been playing for decades on Dungeons and Dragons. And the pledge, the project goes to the 9th of April. The next game, completely different. And you might guess why I am excited about it. It's called Starlight, a campaign adventure game that can be played solo or with a total of 4 players. So for me, it's because it's sci-fi, it takes place in space, and it can be played solo. Always a must for me. Okay, so it's being kickstarted by Brendan McCaskill, and it's a Canadian game. The game will be distributed by OOMM Games that already have successes, No Escape and Last One Standing under their belt. Let's jump right into the game's premise. Starlight is a narrative-driven, cooperative game for 1, 2, 3, or 4 players set in the Draconian system. You and up to 3 friends are close to completing your pilot training when an unknown enemy attacks and destroys your home planet. Oops. You manage to escape and find yourselves guarding the last remaining refugee ship. Throughout Starlight, you fight in epic space battles, upgrade your ship, and explore the fringes of space. But questions still remain, like who attacked you, what they want, and what will you be able to help build the Medallion civilization, rebuild the Medallion civilization. Man, I love this premise. It's got everything that I love about sci-fi and space sagas, and it gets better as the storyline of Starlight, or rather, the storylines, are branching paths, which means that each playthrough makes the story and the events of the game vastly different from one to the other. Even the way your game ends will change based on your choices. Oh, and there's also an option to keep playing after the main story ends. You gather a bunch of raiders and face high-level adversaries in replayable scenarios that will unlock more gear and upgrades for your pilot and your ship. So the game comes with pilot and ship miniatures, comes with the endgame raid system that I just explained. It's a replayable campaign. And the manual comes with more than 80 pages of story of this universe, and you can get it in the rules book will come in English, German, French, Spanish. Let's see here. The core box, $75 US or 105 Canadian dollars. It comes with 4 ship miniatures, 4 pilot miniatures, 4 dual-layered player boards, 8 dual-layered enemy holders, more than 650 cards, more than 80 pages of scenarios, more than 30 enemies, 16 custom-made dice, 1 Galaxy game board, and one game trace holder, plus all unlocked stretch goals. Then you also have the option of a Starlight app, mobile app, which means that you can have all the experience of the game. It also works as a story companion app, as a creation kit, which allows you to make your own scenarios and share your custom created content with the community. There is also a version of the core box that's $110 US or 155 Canadian dollars that comes with 4 ship miniatures, 4 pilot miniatures, 4 dual-layered player boards. Oh, this is the usual. Plus the ships of Starlight. So so everything I said, plus more than 30 detailed enemy ship miniatures and 1 game trace holder, 1 additional game trace. There are 3D renderings of the miniatures on the Kickstarter page, and they are all very creative. They're very good. I liked the idea of a story companion. You use the Starlight app as a companion to your campaign, where you can save the results, the status of your pilot and missions with the help of the app, and minimize the administration work so you can focus on telling stories and playing the game. This is an optional experience. You do not need the app in order to play and enjoy Starlight. It's an added option. There's also a creation kit on the app that allows you create meaningful stories using all of Starlight's tools. With it, you can build custom campaigns with branching narratives using their existing gameplay components or by creating your own. The Kickstarter goes all the way to 11th of April. Let's take a look at the... Well, I already said it. For $74 or 105 Canadians, you get the base game. For $105 or... Where is it? $108 or 155 Canadians, you get the Starlight Institute, which comes with the extra miniatures. Then you have a group pledge for $330 or 475 Canadian dollars, which allows you to get 5 copies of Starlight Academy Pledge, which is the base game. Then there is 700 Canadian dollars that allows you to get the Starlight Institute Pledge, which comes with the extra miniatures and the extra tray. And that's it. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's not a cheap game, but take a look at the miniatures. You're going to see why they are charging more than usual for this kind of board. Because of the miniatures, because of the custom dice, and it's because of the game. So this goes all the way to, as I said, 11th of April. That's it for another episode of The Curators. You can find our curated page at kickstarter.com/Gamerati. You can also email us at thecurators@gamerati.com. Tell me through that email if you liked the projects I commented today and if you're backing any of them. The show notes for this episode and all our episodes are at thecurators.gamerati.com, where you can watch the video versions or listen and subscribe to the podcast version. The Curators can be found on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, on Stitcher, and Spotify. That's it for me. Catch you up next time.